Typhoon Dianmu devastates Hainan. Tzu Chi brings aid for 125 flooded families without rice to eat. And in Cambodia, Tzu Chi volunteers from 2 countries hold a large-scale medical clinic to help the poor. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lee-Shioda. Thank you for joining us. On August 18th, Typhoon Dianmu brought devastation and flooding to Hainan's Linggao County. Tzu Chi volunteers also learned that some 380 acres of farmland in Linchen Township was also devastated and couldn't yield a crop until December. Also, stored grains had become inundated with water and subsequently germinated, leaving residents with no food supplies. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly prepared rice, cooking oil, and other daily necessities to help 125 families overcome this difficult situation.
Typhoon Dianmu, which hit this area on August 18th, is a disaster that few in this area will soon forget.
豆鼓啊，沙发、衣柜、桌子什么都淹完了，那些猪啊、鸡啊都完了，电视。冰箱消毒会什么都没有了，
会好起来的。
没有你们来支持我们，我们也是难过了。
Tzu Chi volunteers have visited 4 times. This time they brought much-needed rice as well as blankets and other daily necessities.
All of their furniture at home has been soaked and ruined, including their quilts, which have turned black. And the rice they stored at home they put out to dry, and it began to sprout while others have become black and moldy.
Linchen Township Secretary specially wrote the Heart Sutra by hand as a gift to Tzu Chi, who presented it at this moving scene.
Seeing so many Tzu Chi volunteers bending over and holding garbage bags to pick up garbage was an education for me as our villagers. We learned gratitude and how to protect the environment. We should start with these little things.
With the worst flood in 20 years, government assistance and help from Tzu Chi has led these residents to be comforted and encouraged with the blessings they have received.
Staying in China, in July, Hebei province suffered the worst flooding the region has seen in years. 1 month has passed, but many are still unable to return to their normal life. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers went to Jingqing County to evaluate the conditions of the hard-hit region.
Roads are bumpy because of the rocks and the debris from nearby houses. The floods have also destroyed many roads. This is Jingqing County, and the downpour in July turned major village into the worst affected area.
就咱们那坝里长城就是用白石灰嘛。哦，这都是白石灰。
万里长城。
对，万里长城就是用这种白石灰。
所以说很牢固的。
很牢固的，就是这样，你这么牢固的东西就。
大水都把它冲。
Tzu Chi volunteers with health fund and official go from door to door to find out the conditions of flood victims. Lan Fengmei received help from Tzu Chi over 10 years ago, so when she sees the volunteers again, she can't wait to talk to them.
现在还用吗？
用啊，
用啊，好用吗？还暖吗？
暖呀，我们冬天就盖的这个，
冬天都盖的这个。
我们这个。
那你还留了几床呢？
它就只盖了我们2床。
盖2床。
这2床都还在。
都还在啊。
这个被子盖的真的是暖和。
None of the families in major village were spared by the floods. All the houses were badly damaged. Wang Haiyan lost his father, wife, and his youngest son. Only his 17-year-old son is still with him.
We bring you blessings from the Master. We pray the deceased will remain in peace and you will strive forward bravely. You still have one son, so you can depend on him.
Tzu Chi volunteers hope their blessing will become their best support in helping their lives return to normal again.
In Harbin, a boy named Bao Qinglong should have begun compulsory education at the age of 6, but he couldn't because he didn't have his domestic household registration. Both his parents suffer from mental disabilities, thus the young boy never received his household registration upon birth because his parents never legalized their marriage. Thanks to Tzu Chi's assistance in 2013, he was finally able to go to school.
Tzu Chi volunteers from Harbin bring aid supplies and care to this grandmother-grandson pair. Tzu Chi volunteers have started to care for 9-year-old Bao Qinlong since 2013. Because he hadn't yet had domestic household registration at the age of 6, he was unable to attend a school. Fortunately, with Tzu Chi's help, he could finally attend a school in fall 2014.
以后吧，早上起来的时候啊，先洗，刷牙刷牙，洗脸，完了再好不好？
Over the past 3 years, Tzu Chi volunteers have cared for Qinlong and treated him much like his mother. This time, they brought love and care to him as they discover a wound on his knee.
这回这块脏了，手就不能跪着了，因为有泥巴就该感染了，明白吧？就不能跪着了啊。 不能整土，整土再感染了，明白？
Before the new semester begins, Tzu Chi volunteers bring school supplies, clothes, shoes, and daily necessities to this boy. Also, they help clean up the house, hoping to put the grandmother at ease as well as encourage Qinlong to carry out his filial piety.
经常来，经常来，经常来，经常来。他可真没来，现在这个。一年他。我后边睡觉上来了。走啦，保真的。
Moving our focus to helping the needy, but in the United States. In the aftermath of the flooding in Louisiana, Tzu Chi's disaster assessment team visited Baton Rouge to see how they could offer immediate assistance. On the third day of the visit, they held a small-scale distribution for 44 workers of the Formosa plastics plant. The Louisiana flood in the United States has affected over 120,000 people. With Formosa Plastics VCM manager Qi Bin Liu's help, Tzu Chi's disaster assessment team hosted its first cash card distribution in the area, helping flood survivors who work at the Baton Rouge plants.
Employees from different departments were reaching out with a helping hand to contact one another. We were able to contact more than 90% of our workers to come here for the distribution.
I was utilizing people from different departments to help make phone calls. The quicker you can go through those steps, the better. The quicker it gets them back on their feet.
The way in which the Formosa Plastics employees were quick to give out material goods and financial assistance after the disaster is very much in line with Tzu Chi's rapid disaster response.
Within 2 days, the management of Formosa Plastics identified and contacted 44 employees who were affected by the flood. A lot of the employees were still cleaning their house when the company contacted them. They were all quick to respond after hearing the news that Tzu Chi is coming to help.
Everything was lost. Prayer, volunteer, a kind, small word, everything helped.
Like a lot of these guys, when they get up on their feet and the company says, hey, we're going to take donations, and they're going to give donations, they're going to pay back. You know, just like y'all paying back to us, we're going to pay back to y'all.
The human resources manager from Formosa Plastics, Jerry Roy, had a similar experience during Hurricane Katrina. He felt strongly for the employees who are affected by this flood.
Several years ago, Hurricane Katrina, I had a brother. He was impacted just like this. So I know what these people are going through.
Though this was a small-scale distribution, it's nonetheless heartwarming to hear people share their tales of love and compassion. We continue with our disaster assessment team in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where on their fourth and last day of the visit, they held a distribution for 122 disadvantaged families of the Vietnamese American community. Joseph Nguyen, the Vietnamese community leader in Baton Rouge, visited flood survivors during a heat wave and helped Tzu Chi volunteers put together a list of recipients. The flooding that happened in Louisiana in August severely damaged Baton Rouge and the surrounding area. As usual, Tzu Chi's flood relief work is focused on disadvantaged groups.
The worst place I would call we call that the Hu Tracy. I call that the poorest of the poor. I was there yesterday. I went into a house. I couldn't be feeling good, you know. I want them to know that I'd like to be with them. And I make the list so that they can get some assistance.
Within a day and a half, Joseph Nguyen finished the name list, which was the basis for Tzu Chi's second cash card distribution in Baton Rouge. The cash card distribution was held in the Vietnamese Buddhist temple, Tam Bao Temple. But with respect to everyone, both Buddhist and Catholic prayers were made. During the distribution, a lot of people had tears in their eyes when they talked about the flooding of their homes.
I lost everything. The memory came back and it made me really sad. But once this is all over, I'm going to pay back the foundation.
Em mà giúp lại thì tôi cũng giúp lại.
Tôi nhận cái sự giúp đỡ.
Today I received the money from Tzu Chi and it made me really happy. That's why I am crying. I'm going to use the money to buy food but not clothes because the clothes I can wash it. I don't need new clothes.
Tiết kiệm tôi giữ lại tôi giặt.
I am very impressed. It is more than we expected. I really think they thought of maybe $100 or $200 or the most, but now they got 500, so that's a lot. That's a big deal.
A total of 122 families benefited from this distribution, with each family receiving a $500 cash card, which will help them a lot in the near future. Though Tzu Chi volunteers' assessments are finished, the flood relief campaign is just getting started. Tzu Chi promises to come back with more resources to help Louisiana flood survivors. Natural disasters continue to plague different parts of the world. In May of this year, a flood devastated Sri Lanka, leading to landslides with more than 20,000 people displaced. In July, a Tzu Chi relief team comprised of volunteers from Taiwan, Malaysia, and Singapore visited the country to distribute Jingsi folding beds and blankets. Recently, they revisited the temporary tent city to check up on the residents' recovery.
Following a distribution of Jingsi folding beds last month carried out by Tzu Chi volunteers, yet another visit was made to Sri Lanka's Araniyaka township to care for those affected by a flood and resulting landslide. Volunteers learned that many people had received Jingsi folding beds but didn't know their proper usage in such narrow tent spaces. Volunteers went tent to tent to instruct them and provide unique counseling on the spot.
I am very happy now because I no longer have to sleep on the floor. On rainy days, I am able to get away from the dampness. Fortunately, after the disaster, I am still able to be with my family, and my children are very happy as they are able to sleep well.
I have never seen this type of bed provided by the Tzu Chi Foundation, and I think that we are very fortunate that they can be provided to us. It's been a big help and a blessing for so many households affected by the disaster.
Someone even kept the Tzu Chi charm or blessing in their safe as one of their prized possessions, believing that it will bring good luck and fortune. Another person put it in a very visible location in this tent, indicating a belief in human compassion despite this deadly natural disaster.
As Sri Lankans recover from the flood in July, residents of eastern Taiwan are still working towards their own recovery from Typhoon attack, especially schools. The Tzu Chi Foundation assisted 6 schools with renovations, hoping to provide a safe learning environment for the students before the new semester begins.
It looked terrible at that time because all of the air vents were exposed and hung down. They could be seen throughout the classroom, looking terrifying.
National Taidong Junior College is one of the schools in Taidong that was severely devastated by Typhoon attack. 14 classrooms of this school were damaged and 9 were almost destroyed.
All of the 9 classrooms on the 3rd floor were damaged. The white parts are where Tzu Chi helped us complete repairs.
Tzu Chi Foundation offered high-quality building materials and associated construction work for each school. This included thicker doors and windows to better resist strong winds.
Generally, the width of our window frames is only 10 centimeters, so we increased it to 15 centimeters for these aluminum window frames.
I have long trusted Tzu Chi's quality control of construction work. I believe that this helps improve the safety of our school.
Following Tzu Chi volunteers as they travel to Baoshan Elementary School, which offers a special education class which many families in Taidong rely upon. This 4,320 square feet roof of the special education building was blown away. With Tzu Chi's help, the rooftop of the building has been replaced with water-repellent steel tiles.
The teaching environment is affected since the school was severely damaged. We don't have enough usable classrooms as we tried our best to complete renovation so that the teachers and students can study in safety.
Most of the windows at National Taidong Senior Commercial Vocational School were destroyed. Many teachers, students, and alumni returned to this school to help clean up. Tzu Chi not only offered subsidies, but also mobilized volunteers to join the rebuilding efforts.
I think my participation in the cleanup was a way of accompanying and leading these students, as well as setting an example for them. It was definitely my duty to help out since other people also helped me.
Tzu Chi volunteers joined in to help repair the devastated schools, hoping to complete the work before the new semester begins on August 29th, giving students a safe learning environment.
Recently, a 2-day large-scale free clinic was held in Cambodia's Persat province. On the first day, 1,400 patients were cared for in 4 different medical departments. Let's see how this free clinic helped many get the medical relief they needed. At the large-scale free clinic in Cambodia's Persat province, 1,400 patients are seen on the first day in 4 different medical departments, such as pediatrics, obstetrician, general medicine, and traditional Chinese medicine. The residents of this area have long suffered from impoverished conditions. Most are farmers and often ignore their aches and pains, especially joint pains, just to save money.
They are laborers that spend long hours in the paddy with their legs submerged in water. So we are giving them a moxa stick as a present and teaching them how they can do moxibustion on their own to apply heat therapy to relieve their aches.
The on-site acupuncture service has also relieved many of the patients' ailments.
I'm grateful for the wonderful Malaysian male doctor that treated me. I'm no longer troubled by my headache. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
The children in this area are prone to parasitic roundworm, diarrhea, skin problem, and the occasional malnutrition. Doctors take the opportunity to teach the parents about sanitation and health, so as to take better care of their children and themselves from this day forward. Among the patients on the first day of the free clinic in Cambodia, there was a housewife suffering from a bone fracture, which had gone untreated for years. There was also a soldier suffering from dangerously high blood pressure. We take a look at how the doctors at the free clinic responded to these patients in need.
There are thousands of people waiting in line to receive medical attention. Among them, this soldier's body is visibly weak. The previous day, this soldier was doing plumbing work outside where the clinic was being held. Feeling unwell with a rapid heartbeat, it's found that he is suffering from very high blood pressure, resulting in dizziness and shortness of breath. A doctor of Chinese medicine teaches him how to do pressure point treatment to ease his mind and shows him a method to adjust his respiratory rate.
You can use an envelope or any plastic bag and put it over your mouth. When we take in higher levels of carbon dioxide, this will suppress the response of the brain center that controls our breathing. The result will be a slowing of the heart rate.
In the internal medicine department, one woman's condition is somewhat unusual.
After a fall years ago, her bone was pushed out of place. She never went to see a doctor and simply suffered with the pain for years.
Judging her situation, Cambodian Dr. Song Pep decides that she should be taken to a hospital for treatment. There, she receives x-rays of her leg, and a closed fracture of the bone is confirmed. She will need to receive 2 separate operations, and the treatment time required is estimated to last a year. However, the woman refuses, and the doctors instead provide her with crutches and teach her how to take care of her leg so that her condition does not worsen over time.
Recently in Malaysia, the Tzu Chi chapter held a 2-day Jingsi camp for teachers. During the camp, the teachers not only learned interesting ways to teach the wise words, but also learned ways to settle their minds and calm their nerves.
On this day, 49 teachers from Kedah and Perlis have become students once more. They have joined a Jingsi camp held by the Tzu Chi Kedah chapter's Teacher Association, and here they will learn how to teach Jingsi aphorisms to their students.
Softening the hearts begins with love. We are giving the teachers a different perspective so they can have better teacher-student relationships.
We hope that this positive energy can help us absorb more Dharma and settle our hearts. This way we won't be as impatient when we are teaching the students.
The camp's games and activities have not only brought much joy to the teachers, but also inspired them to interact with their students in different ways.
I hope more events like this are held so that more teachers can participate. I'll take what I've learned and use it in my teaching.
Learning a different approach to teaching, these educators have been reminded of their initial aspiration as to why they became teachers.
In Tianwei Township of Zhanghua, 26-year-old Wu Kunyi has suffered from muscular dystrophy since birth. But with his parents' encouragement, he was able to become a PhD student. Now he's facing a new challenge, finding employment.
Look at his hands. They've already knotted together. I have to open up his hands. Come on, open up. And I have to straighten out his legs.
26-year-old Wu Kun-yi suffers from severe muscular dystrophy, and of his 4 limbs, he can only move his right arm.
In elementary school, I could still turn myself over, but after elementary, I couldn't. Since then, my mom hasn't gotten a full night's sleep.
Wu Kun-yi's sister also suffered from the same condition and passed away at only 8 years old. Since then, his mother has been even more attentive caring for Wu Kun-yi.
No matter how bad your condition gets or how ugly you are, I'm your mother, and that's just how it is. I will always hold you close to my heart. I still have that maternal love and warmth.
Against all odds and overcoming his physical difficulties, Wu Kun-yi is now a PhD student. He is highly educated and has expert knowledge in computer science. But like many others with physical disabilities, he struggles to find work opportunities.
If it's office work of arranging documents or tables or using graphic design software, I can offer my abilities. I can also manage online work or customer service by phone. Even with disabilities, this is the 21st century. Not everyone has to be able to run to work.
Mr. Wu says that in the internet age, physical disabilities shouldn't be a hindrance to finding work. There is plenty that Mr. Wu and others like him are capable of. They simply want the chance to be able to develop their abilities and live with dignity.
To raise awareness of the right thoughts to keep in mind for the 7th lunar month, Tzu Chi volunteers in Pingdong held blessing ceremonies in 2 venues. During one of the ceremonies, students put on a breathtaking drumming performance. We'll leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.